Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. In today's video we are gonna have a look at my favorite attacking game, and in this edition we will have a look at two attacking principles. The first is maximizing your advantage and the second is kill zone. What that is about I will tell you later. But let's dive into the position. White has already gotten a huge advantage, the pair of bishops, an annoying pin against the f6 knight, and it's also white to move. If you want to challenge yourself, you can think about this position for a while and we will just dive into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is maximizing your goals, maximizing your advantage. So what is this about? In chess, usually we need to think about what we want, and if we want a slight advantage, a big advantage, or a winning position. And so usually when I have a look at a position, I gradually set my goals and adjust them higher and higher, or if there are no solutions, I adjust them lower and lower. So let's have a look at this position and go through the thought process. So the first thing which would come to my mind is I could take here and make him a double pawn. Well, will he take with the pawn or with the queen? Probably with the queen, because after getting the double pawns with queens off, his king might be weak, but it's not so easy to exploit. Still, white has a small advantage there, but probably it's nothing too special. So we have a slight advantage. So now we want to see, do we have something even better? Okay, do we have any ideas? Maybe we could start an attack against the black king, therefore we should not trade the queens. Do I have any ideas to accomplish that? And when thinking about this, you should always think about weaknesses. There may be two spots which we could attack. The first one is g7 and the second one is h7. So once you spotted the weaknesses, it's not so hard to come up with candidate moves. For example, queen to g3 or queen to h3, both eyeing the weaknesses on either g7 and h7. Both are good moves and both are actually winning for white, but in this video we're just gonna have a look at queen h3. When calculating queen h3, we of course need to take into consideration all the forcing answers, which are e5 counter-attacking our queen and h6 hitting our bishop. With g6, it's nothing you need to be especially careful about. Black is just weakening his king and also the knight. So let's have a look if this is maximizing our advantage. We need to discuss those two moves, and we will also very quickly go over g6. Let's start with this one. So black is creating a lot of weaknesses here, and we should aim to exploit them. For example, with queen h4 comes very natural, king to g7, and again, the weakness is still there, and he is not yet ready to expel our bishop from g5. So can we put more pressure on this knight? Yes, we can, maybe with a rook. We have two options, but I like rook e4 more because it's easier to get to f4. Doing the same thing with f3, there might be more resistance. So after this, I actually don't see a way for black to defend, and I would stop my calculations around here or maybe earlier, because yeah, it just feels the wrong way for black here. More critical is if black is going e5. In this situation, we need to be careful. Our queen is hanging, and even though our opponent is attacking something, we should consider our captures and checks first. And once we do this, we will have a few candidates. Takes here, takes here, takes here, and takes here. Usually I start with the most forcing one first, or sometimes I follow my intuition. What's the most forcing capture? For me, it's usually the one capturing the most points, which is in this case the knight. Because once I take the knight, the score is 3-0, so he needs to fight back harder, and this is usually more difficult. So let's have a look at bishop takes f6. Again, we also need to consider our opponent's checks and captures slowly, not missing any of them. So we will go through all of them. He could take here, 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 or here. Usually it's a good thing to use the method of elimination, eliminating the wrong answers first, so that you're only left with the critical answers, and then you try to refute them too. And if you refute all your opponent's answers, you know your move was a good move. Okay, let's start with the easy ones. For example, taking here, it's just not good because we can hit on h7. The same thing for pawn takes on f6. Also, we will take h7, king f8, and queen h8 mate. So we are basically left with queen takes f6 or bishop takes h3. But in both cases, we again have good answers. He takes something, and our first priority should be taking something big, the queen. And now we already see this is trouble for black because his bishop is still hit and our bishop is also hit, but once he will escape, we will also escape. If he doesn't escape and takes on e7, he won't be able to escape and we are bishop up. So we refuted this one as well. So there is just one move left. Queen takes here on f6, but then the bishop is undefended, so we're also done. So that's basically it about e5. You saw the thinking process. We went very slow, considering all the captures, but carefully and slowly, not missing anything. Let's now have a look at h6, which looks like the most critical answer, because black removes this h7 pawn, which was the major weakness we were attacking. And if we have no justification here, this whole queen h3 concept would have failed, and the maximizing approach would also have failed, and we may rather have settled for creating a double pawn or maybe the other attacking idea. So when maximizing your advantage, you always need to consider, are we really maximizing, or are we maybe missing something and even lowering our goals? But let's have a look at this. This is the last move which remains, and black could set his hopes on, but maybe you have already spotted it. We can take it, because if black takes, we take, we get 2 pawns and an ongoing attack, which is usually enough for the sacrificed material, and white is just winning here. The key thing is, however, black cannot organize a defense. He cannot regroup with queen f8 because the knight would always drop. He can also not reroute the knight to somehow come over with the queen, because the knight needs to guard h7 all the time, and white is very quick with a rook lift, giving mate against the exposed king. So this wouldn't work for black. Sometimes in such situations you do not only need to consider all the captures, but also the forcing moves like e5. We shouldn't miss this one, because this could save black if our queen wouldn't have a great spot. But we do have queen to g3, threatening mate, also pinning the pawn so our bishop cannot be taken. And after knight h5 we attack the knight, and we are in time to either take the knight or to remove our bishop, and white is winning. So queen h3 is a great move, attacking h7. Black has no good responses and was quite desperate. That's why he tried something else than the moves we looked at, and we will try to refute this as well. At first sight, this move black played in the game, queen d6, it looks very dubious, because white could just take, and take. But if it's so obvious, you should again ask the question, is this really maximizing our advantage? Or is he maybe playing for something there? And the principle I want to talk about in this scenario is the kill zone. What is the kill zone? In chess, and especially in attacking, there is a theme that when you are attacking the opponent king, it's sometimes not having any helpers to guard him, but he can run himself. And when running, he's leaving the danger zone, so-called kill zone. And usually when this happens, the attack is not successful. White is merely winning a pawn here, but black might have chances to survive. For example, queen h8, which is a mistake. And now the queen is hit, and now the rooks are coming with gain of time, and black is fighting back. And the key reason why he's fighting back is because the king left the kill zone. The king is in kind of safety now, and black is just a single pawn down while having obtained 2 open files. So once you understood this principle about the kill zone, that once the king has no other hope, he will run and thus escape the danger, we will find new ways to think about attacking play, which is keeping the king in the kill zone. And the move for that is queen h6. So with this, we cut the king off. The king will now stay in the danger zone, and we have a lot of very dangerous ideas. Black cannot run away any longer, and white finished the game very quickly. There are several remaining ideas, and it all worked out. White calculated probably already here till the end. Black went f5, the only way to guard the h7 pawn. If anything else, there will be this very, very classical mating combination. Check on g6 so that the queen will finally deliver mate on f7. So this mustn't be allowed, so black went f5. But white just included the rook into the attack with rook e3, now threatening a mate into rook check, king h8, queen g7. Black tried to defend, but white had a nice intermediate move. Now the queen is really running out of squares on this diagonal, but if the queen is leaving the diagonal, then this rook mate is coming. Also note that queen g4 doesn't save the day. Any queen move to the g file will just run into rook g3, winning the queen due to the pin. And if queen goes to h8, the black king will be deprived of his last hiding square, and the queen would need to sacrifice herself, and white is mating. So that's it for this game. I hope you could learn something. First, about maximizing advantages. Once you have a small advantage, you can look for something bigger. If you think you have a big advantage but you don't find it, you sometimes lower your goals and look for something smaller. Second, I hope you learned something about attacking play, which is the kill zone. The kill zone, it's a very, very powerful principle because the king won't run away any longer. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.